Hello, my beautiful Chads and Chadettes, and welcome back to another video, where today I'm going to be talking about the horror that was there with the older Persona games. Which, you know, as old I classify as well, shit, Persona 5's old as fuck, but Persona 4. And Persona 4 kind of marked a dropping off point of horror in the franchise, and basically I'll be just talking about the scariest moments in the series in chronological order. So Persona 1 all the way up until Persona 4. I guess I'll mention some of 5. 5 has a little bit scary shit. Anyways, strap in and put BBs inside of your meat, because today we're going to be pissing them and unloading them at the audience to show them just how scary classic Persona was and what the new Persona games are missing. Enjoy!
What? We're flying to Philadelphia! Oh, hell no! Oh, hell no!
So to kind of get into the mood of this, I know I'm speaking in a very chilled tone, but right now I'm playing Persona 1 on an emulator, so I can kind of just talk with you while playing a game. So this is why I'm chilled out, kind of like in my previous Persona 5 video. And yeah, I might be a massive gaping pussy or something, but something that I find scary is the prospect of one of those stupid-ass fucking Bloody Mary games actually being true. Because I remember when I was younger, and I used to be scared of playing Bloody Mary because I used to think that fucking demons were gonna come out of my toilet and fucking eat my ass or something like that. And that just fucking unsettled me. Another thing that I like about Persona 1 is sort of how every character is sort of a trope of a horror movie, and from there it's there's this weird ethereal atmosphere throughout Persona 1 that I'm pretty sure only Persona 2 really mimics, and it's everything is weird. There's a mystery around, and we get more answers as the games go on, but the fact that we know absolutely nothing in Persona 1, and I mean there's still mystery in the rest of the Persona franchise, but Persona 1 especially is just fucking terrifying. And along with that, when I emulated Persona 1 for the first time, I emulated the original PS1 version in Japanese, and the fucking soundtrack is scary. Something that I don't like to talk about most of the time is I used to find the old soundtracks inside of some of the Mortal Kombat games just fucking terrifying. I remember when I was younger and I had an Xbox 360, I think I was 3 in 2011. We bought the Mortal Kombat arcade trilogy, and the soundtracks in those old games would either range from really fucking cool or just scare the ever-living shit out of me. And with Persona 1's original version, I used to just absolutely fucking shit my pants listening to it. And I even re-listened to some of it because right now I'm playing the PSP version, so I'm only hearing the PSP music, but yeah, it is fucking terrifying to me. Genuinely fucking ass-shitting, pants-shitting scared. That makes no sense, but we're gonna roll with that. Another thing that really just fucking scares me about it is how abstract all of the visuals are. You know, the visuals are just really occultish and weird, and again, I don't think Persona 2 really replicated that fucking vibe of it, and I do think Persona 2 is a significant leap in the scare factor sort of, but yeah. Along with that, the Sea of Souls just being just a black void with the souls of people. It carries a lot of mystery, even though, you know, it does get explained. It's fucking terrifying. Not really terrible. Look, I'm not that much of a pussy, but you know, it's kind of scary, okay? Fuck. Along with that, I just think that the first 3 Persona games, because, you know, 2 is split into 2 parts, but I'm just gonna say the first 2, since 2 is just part 1 and part 2 of the same game, basically. Same fucking story. It's just, there's this urgency that the other games don't have after the calendar system gets introduced, and everything feels much more urgent. It's our cast is trying to figure out how to stop these fucking world-ending threats, and that's what I really like. It's more of an SMT game, but it's different. And the rest of the Persona franchise, after 3, dropped the SMT title, and yeah, I just feel like after it stopped being, like, basically just, like, sort of like SMT, that's when the franchise found its footing, but also at the same time, it's like, it's not scary anymore. But I still do enjoy the more lighthearted, newer games. Holy shit, what the fuck was I talking? Lighthearted, normal game. Like, I sound fucking stupid. Holy shit, like, someone just beat me in the head with a fucking crowbar at this point. What the hell? Okay, but back on topic. I think Persona 1's Velvet Room and Persona 2's Velvet Room are fucking, like, still really scary for one reason. Inside... That asshole on his motorcycle out there. Fuck, lost focus. But, look, what I think about the Persona 1 and 2 Velvet Rooms, what makes them so scary, is the fact that in the rest of the Persona games, like, Igor basically has attendants that, like, you know, kind of, like, contrast with his mystique, but, like, in Persona 1 and 2, there's just kind of, like, he still does have attendants, but they're in the background just singing and playing music, and I feel like that's what's eerie. You can actually see them play the music, and he's just basically in there alone, because they're basically just puppets playing music, and that scares me a fair bit. Atmospheric horror, you know. I'm not a pussy. I'm not like, oh my gosh, people are fucking singing. No, I'm not a pussy. I swear. I get it though. Hey, you shut your bitch ass up, Meric. Oh, okay, buddy. I also like the fact that, like, you know, Maki is just basically in a coma, fucking trapping everyone because of her shadow consciousness or whatever the fuck. You know, ideal Maki, normal Maki. You know, if you played the game, you would know. You know, more Persona fans should play the original too. But yeah, I find that concept fucking scary. And like, I forgot what boss fight it was, but the dude just fucking split in half. And yeah, shit. What else can I talk about? The Snow Slut quest. Yeah, the Snow Slut or the Snow Queen, it doesn't fucking matter. I call her the fucking Snow Slut, it really doesn't matter. Come on, she's a murderer! But yeah, the Snow Slut, I find, like, her plan of just, like, let's go fucking do genocide. I know it's an overused trope, but it's like, this is basically being put to rest by a bunch of high schoolers that can easily, like, fuck things up. There's the inexperienced, underdeveloped brains, you know, I know that, like, I'm in fucking 10th grade, like, buddy, if I were to be put in charge of saving the world, I would so easily fuck it up for everyone by accident. So, you know, that is just fucking terrifying.
Motherfucking Newports. My God, what the hell? Oh my God, Newports. Oh, yes.
Hold on, I just caught Curious George lacking. Shit could get tragic.
So, Persona 2. Persona 2 is basically, like, doubling down on Persona 1's horror aspect. You know, just outright people just fucking dying in this game. That shit is not good. It's not money in your wallet. It's not pussy on your cock. It's not hoops and daisies. What the fuck does that even mean? What? I honestly just think that Joker gaslighting everyone and just fucking, like, doing evil shit to everyone the entire story is what's crazy, because, like, every single member of the cast is just tormented, you know? Maya, fire. Okay, she just gets tormented with fire. That I don't know why I made that joke. But it's also, like, Neo Larpateth just, like, you know, cheating the bed and shit, and just, like, fucking up the original universe so greatly, and then Tatsuya being left in the end to just, like, be left in that universe while his friends are just somewhere else. That is just extremely fucked up, and that's psychological horror at its finest. I think the fact that Persona 1 and both of Part 2 just, like, is just at this rapid pace where all of this can happen is just what makes the story good. It's rapid, and it's like, suddenly everything in these characters' lives aren't normal anymore. And I know that's how it is for other Persona games, but it's like, they're literally being tortured by gods in this game. And there is nothing scarier than that, because there's, like, barely anything you can do. We barely scrape by with, like, a victory, if you can even call it that. And then there's people just being fucking experimented on inside of the school and being turned into like demons and shit. That's fucking crazy. And I don't think modern Persona is gonna show anything like that again. But still, there's some sort of horror element, but I miss when our protagonists felt super helpless. And I think Persona 3 is the game that masters this the most, because it's like everything really feels hopeless in that last month of Persona 3. And I know I'm going to talk about Persona 3 in like just a moment once we move on to a separate section, but yeah, really, I just find our characters being put on like a back foot that truly does feel helpless is good, because, yeah. Like, but most of the games after 2, 3, 4, 5, they save the helplessness for the end of the game, but all throughout 2, there's just every character being broken down. And that is fucking wonderful. Not wonderful, but like it's good to watch. It's like watching a car crash, You want to look away, but it's like, holy shit, I can't look away. It's like, I don't want to bust inside, but I can't pull out, kind of like that. So, Persona 3, right? We're finally at this section, and let me just immediately talk about the atmosphere of the opening of this game. The opening is so fucking mysterious. It's just Makoto Yuki on a train, and then everything just has blood pulling out of it, and there's coffins everywhere. And I feel like the coffins are just scary, and like the shadows being humans sometimes are just also just fucking scary. And honestly, I feel like the coffins, like everything in this game symbolizes death. Even Nyx. Nyx was foreshadowed in 2, and I feel like them following the continuity so closely before they can actually move on to reinventing the series completely is what really makes this feel like the last real SMT game. Even if I'm gonna talk about 4 in the next section, Also, while I keep yapping, let me just talk about, like, the coffins having a fucking threesome inside of the sex hotel. That was fucking hilarious. Okay, but, back on topic. The fact that the protagonist's family was just, like, killed during, like, a great tragedy, is, scary, Because, like, you have a protagonist that's so detached and different from the other protagonists. I mean, like, all of them are silent in a way. And I feel like the fact that they're like, them being silent has significance to the story of 3 is what I find great about it. And even though I shit on Portable all the time and I don't like Portable, I feel like the FemC route, exploring the same situation but using them more as like a brighter outlet of how they deal with depression, I feel like that's good. But I feel like, Strega and, the cultists, the Kirijo group experimenting on people, all of those aspects in Persona 3's story is balanced perfectly with the brevity. But yeah, let's talk about January, because January is the month where everything in the game starts going to shit, and I feel like that's the scariest part of the game, in my opinion. The entire city is just succumbed by like this mindset of like a cult. Everything is just shut down. Everyone knows that there's impending doom. There's caution tape everywhere. The mall isn't full anymore. It's fucking dirty, and everything just feels so depressing. And I feel like that's an atmosphere that only Persona 3 perfected. Because as much as I say, oh, Persona 1 and 2 were the scariest, I don't think like those games have the same atmospheric horror as Persona 3, because Persona 1 and 2's atmospheric horror, some of it relied on like, realism or something, right? But it's like, if everyone did know the end was near inside of the real world, I do imagine that it would look something like that. A lot of places would be fucking deserted or something. It's just great atmosphere, and it's fucking, it's good. And the Nyx boss fight, as fucking hard as it was, like, I was fucking pounding her tuna and she was still fucking just whooping my ass. But yeah, the Nyx boss fight, what Nyx represents, it's just death incarnate. And I feel like they really had a great boss to cap off the super, super dark Persona games. And let's talk about the last month. Graduation and shit. The fact that the main character's holding on and just dying, as sweet as it is, he's fucking forcing himself to live day after day, and like he's losing strength slowly because he's dead and he needs to make a promise. That is fucking powerful shit. And yeah, that's my take on Persona 3. Now let's go over to 4. So, for Persona 4, I do believe that this was truly the last scary game. I'll talk about 5 during the outro section, but yeah. Inside of Persona 4, I do believe that this game was fucking terrifying. The concept of the Midnight Channel just showing who people really are, it is not only scary for, like, the fucking victim, because people around, like, this very small town that everyone basically knows each other in has to see this, but it's like they're fucked up distortions of yourself, even if they do get some aspects right. And getting that sort of torment from someone who looks exactly like you is fucked up. And the killer inside of this small town, where basically everyone knows everyone, that is a creepy thought, especially since no one has any good suspects until like 5 hours into the game, or like, I don't know, like 2 years into Adachi's killing spree. And that is a fucking scary thought. And I think the presentation of the Midnight Channel 2, especially the PS2 version where the fog is like thick and heavy, that is really, like, I think the last time they really captured how scary something is outside of the psychological aspect. And let's just talk about the endings. The ending when Nanako dies. You're even if I like pretend to hate Nanako like through and through, even though I'm like, oh, I'll beat the fuck out of this little fucking shit, ungrateful ass little motherfucker. Even if I talk about Nanako like that's not really how I feel about her character. And it's like, she's an innocent, like, 7-year-old child who got fucking pieced up by a killer because he was bored. And then there's, the accomplice ending, where, basically you just let Adachi go even though he's the killer. And there's also, the fucking killing of Namatame there, and how basically you killed the wrong man and the murders are still gonna fucking happen, and you just lost someone close to you because you couldn't control your anger. And that's something that I talked about in the Persona, I think 1 or 2 section, where I'm like putting a bunch of teenagers in charge of this with no fully developed brain is something, that would lead to mistakes, and that ending really reflects it. And I feel like the horror elements are really just like not really like acknowledged by most of the fandom, and especially the OST. Fucking Who's There is such a fucking odd and mysterious song, but yeah, the rest of the music inside of the game is very cheery and high octane for battle, and they're able to mask the horror a lot more in Persona 4. And I feel like 5 does that, but nothing really will compare to the PS1 to PS2 era of Persona in terms of atmosphere, unless, Atlas really fucking just locks in towards Persona 6. Holy shit, wait, I forgot to talk about the Persona Awakenings in Persona 3. People accepting their deaths by putting a gun to their head, that is fucking terrifying too. Especially since Yukari wasn't able to summon her persona during, the protagonist's awakening, because, the concept of death is fucking scary. That is good writing.
We are here to defeat the enemy. We are not here to listen to your sizzle.
So, for Persona 5, there's really not a lot to talk about. Other than abuse of power, that's really the main theme. Abuse of power, shitty adults, that's Persona 5's theme. And I feel like the concept of Kamoshida and the rest of the villains, fucking terrifying, right? There's no doubt about it. But all of the atmospheres inside of the games are just kind of covered up by their true desires, which, makes good for psychological horror, but like when we're talking about a corrupt businessman and he's in a fucking spacesuit, or a mob boss who's like fucking purple, it's not as scary as it could be. And I think the only thing that really represents like how scary Persona 5 was, or the, you know, the moments that Persona 5 did have that was scary, was the ending where you're just fucking pieced up by Akechi inside of the interrogation room, and the rest of the thieves are just presumably left to be captured. Or when you're literally fucking erased from existence in one of the endings, or when Joker goes to sleep during Maruki's, you know, world thing. So, yeah, there's not a lot to talk about in the way of Persona 5. But yeah, do you guys agree with me? Do you guys miss the horror in Persona? Do you guys even see anything that I talked about as scary? Tell me in the comments, and don't be afraid to give me shit. Yeah. Anyways, it's been your Hispanic Pappy Meric, and signing off. Have a beautiful day, everyone.